Hey, it's Lindsay and welcome back to The Wandering Reader. Today's video is going to be my December wrap-up. This month I read 5 books and a total of 1,549 pages. The first book I read this month was 13 Hours by Narendra Dharmi. I borrowed this from my school library. Every year my school take part in this programme called Book Buzz, which is a programme run by the Book Trust for Year 7 students to encourage more reading for pleasure, and they get to choose a free book to take home with them, and 13 Hours was by far the most popular choice in this year's Year 7, so I decided to give it a go. This follows the story of Annie, who's 12 years old, and she is a young carer for her mum, and they live in this really sort of dilapidated house, and she basically has to do everything for her mum because her mum can't leave the house. And one day she gets back from school or the shops, I can't remember which, and some people have broken into her house. So her mum thinks that she can hear these noises upstairs, so Annie goes to investigate, and some people have broken into her house, and then the story kind of goes from there. I really did enjoy the story. I thought it was a really kind of nice middle grade thriller. I could see why the Year 7s, why it was so popular with our Year 7s, and why they enjoyed it so much when they read it. I thought it was a good book to highlight the topic of young carers. There are lots of young people who care for somebody in their family, and it's a really important topic to highlight, so I thought it was good from that point of view. It was a good sort of mystery story, so it had lots of twists and turns in it, and I ended up giving this one 3 stars. So the second book I read this month was a book called George by Alex Gino, and I've been recommended this a lot from watching other people's channels, and I saw it in my library and I thought, well, I'm going to have to give that a go. I really loved this. I breezed through it in a couple of days. It was really quick to read. It's about a girl called George, and she is a girl in a boy's body. From the very beginning of the book, it uses feminine pronouns to refer to George. So from the very beginning, there is no doubt in your mind that George is a girl. And it's about how she is secret at the beginning of the book, only she knows. And it's about how she is dealing with that, and how she learns to trust people and, you know, reveal herself to the world. I thought it was a really important book for kids to read because it normalises the issue. It makes it something that is just a normal part of our society, and of course it is, and that's exactly how children should view the issue growing up. I really loved the story. I really liked the way it used the story Charlotte's Web as part of the narrative. That was really good, so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. The third book I read this month was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I picked this up in a charity bookshop a few weeks ago, and this is one that people talk about on BookTube all the time, and it's much beloved on BookTube. So when I saw it in the charity shop and it was in really good condition as well, I thought, well, I'm going to have to pick it up and give it a go. So I did pick it up this month. This is the story of a circus and how the circus starts and the various magical things that happen in the circus. But it's also about a challenge that 2 magicians, are they magicians or conjurers, or yeah, I suppose they are magicians, they set for these 2 people under their tutelage, and it's about how the challenge plays out in that sort of sense. It's a really hard book to describe. The plot's really hard to describe, so I'm not going to say any more than that because I don't think you should go into this knowing an awful lot. I do really like the story. I'm not a massive fan of circuses in general. I've never been to one. I don't particularly want to. But the descriptions in this book of what the circus was like and the various different aspects of the circus and how it all works were so magical that you're kind of really drawn into the story. What I liked as well is that it's multi-perspective, so you get to see what's going on from lots of different points of view, and sometimes I don't like that about books because it's quite hard to follow, but in this one it really worked. The other thing I liked about it is it has these kind of section starters where it kind of describes somebody walking through the circus and what they can see, and that happens at different points of the story, and I thought that was really clever because you're seeing it alongside this person who's seeing it for the first time as well. It has these kind of stars and things, and so I really like the kind of graphics in the book as well. It's quite a long book, but it didn't take me particularly long to get through it, and I ended up giving this 4 stars, so I really liked this. The 4th book that I read this month was Trash by Andy Mulligan. I picked this up second hand on Amazon a few weeks ago. It'd been sitting on my wish list for about 3 years, and I saw that I could buy it for a penny and then pay for postage and packaging, so I thought, well, I might as well give it a go, and I read it this month. This is kind of like a mystery book, or sort of an adventure book at the same time. This follows the story of 3 boys who work on a dump site, on a garbage site in somewhere in India, and one day one of the boys, Raphael, finds something in the rubbish, and the story kind of goes from there, and it's about how they, you know, deal with finding this particular thing and what they do with it. It was a really quick read. Again, flew through it in a few days. Again, this is told from a number of different perspectives, so you get the 3 different boys' perspectives, you get some other people's perspectives that kind of help them on the way. But it's just a nice YA mystery adventure story. I really liked it. And it's one of those books that is used to teach quite an awful lot, so people read this book as part of English lessons, and I can see why. I can see why teenagers would like it, or young people would like it. So I ended up giving that one 4 stars. The 5th and final book that I read this month was The Elite by Kira Cass. This is the 2nd book in the Selection series by her. And I read the 1st book earlier in the year and really loved it. They're really light, fluffy reads. You know, if I want something light, then this is definitely the series to go with. Obviously can't tell you what this book is about without spoiling it, but the 1st book centres around a dystopian world where people are divided up into castes, and I think there are 8 different castes, one being the top caste. And in this world, the royal family go through this process to find their son a wife, and so he's like the prince, the next king, and they want to find him a wife. So there are a number of girls who are picked to be part of the selection, and he kind of dates each one. They come and live at the castle and he dates each one, and then he kind of narrows them down from here. And yeah, it's just a really light, fluffy read. You know, there's nothing deep or meaningful about it, but I really like them, so I gave that one 4 stars. So there you have it. They were all the books that I read in December. Please leave me a comment down below. What books did you read in December? Which one did you like the best? I'd love to hear your recommendations. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!